The slaughterhouse stood on the edge of town, a massive structure of rusted metal and stained concrete, where the scent of blood lingered in the air like a haunting specter. Inside, the relentless machinery of death operated under the indifferent hum of fluorescent lights. To most, it was a place of necessity, an ugly but essential part of life. To Mr. Kemper, it was a sanctuary. Mr. Kemper was an unassuming man. In his mid-50s, he had a stout frame, thinning gray hair and eyes that betrayed no emotion. He worked as the night supervisor at the slaughterhouse, ensuring the machinery ran smoothly and the employees followed protocols. But there was something about Mr. Kemper that unsettled his co-workers. Perhaps it was the way he lingered too long in the cutting rooms, or the way he seemed to enjoy the metallic tang of blood that hung in the air. Whatever it was, no one dared question him. Not openly, at least. The town had its whispers. People spoke of missing drifters, strange sounds in the night, and an eerie glow that sometimes emanated from the slaughterhouse after hours. But rumors were just rumors, and the slaughterhouse was too vital to the local economy for anyone to dig too deeply. Still, those who worked the night shift with Mr. Kemper often felt an inexplicable unease. It was on a particularly stormy night that the truth began to surface. Rain hammered the roof of the slaughterhouse as thunder growled in the distance. The workers had clocked out, leaving Mr. Kemper alone to oversee the cleaning crew. By midnight, even they had left, and the cavernous building was silent save for the steady drip of water from a leaky pipe. Mr. Kemper moved through the dimly lit corridors with practiced ease, his footsteps muffled by the blood-slicked floors. He carried a battered metal toolbox, its contents rattling softly with each step. He paused at a large steel door, marked "Restricted Access," produced a key from his pocket, and unlocked it. Beyond the door was a staircase leading downward into the bowels of the slaughterhouse. The air grew colder as he descended, and the faint hum of the machinery above was replaced by an oppressive silence. At the bottom of the stairs, he reached another door, this one reinforced with thick metal bars. He unlocked it with another key and stepped inside. The room beyond was a grotesque tableau. Chains hung from the ceiling, some ending in sharp hooks, others looped into crude restraints. The walls were lined with shelves holding jars of preserved organs, the contents suspended in cloudy formaldehyde. A large steel table sat in the center of the room, its surface marred by deep scratches and dark stains. The faint scent of decay mingled with the metallic tang of blood. Mr. Kemper set his toolbox on the table and opened it. Inside were an array of tools, knives of various sizes, a bone saw, pliers and other instruments, each meticulously cleaned and sharpened. He removed a pair of latex gloves from the box and slipped them on, the snap of the material echoing in the room. Then he turned to the corner, where a figure sat slumped against the wall, bound with chains. The man's eyes fluttered open, and a muffled groan escaped his gagged mouth. He was young, perhaps in his early 20s, with dirt-caked skin and clothes that marked him as a drifter. His eyes darted around the room, wide with terror, as he struggled against his restraints. Mr. Kemper watched him impassively, his expression unreadable. "You shouldn't have been poking around where you don't belong," Mr. Kemper said, his voice low and gravelly. "People come and go in this town. No one asks questions. No one's going to miss you." He selected a long, serrated knife from the toolbox and approached the man. The young drifter thrashed against his chains, his muffled screams rising in pitch. Mr. Kemper tilted his head, studying his captive with a clinical detachment. "It's nothing personal," he murmured, almost as if trying to reassure himself. "You're just another piece of meat." With a practiced hand, he began his gruesome work. The blade blade sliced through flesh with horrifying ease, the sound of tearing tissue and dripping blood filling the room. The man's screams grew weaker as his life drained away. His struggles reduced to feeble twitches. Mr. Kemper worked methodically, his movements precise and unhurried. To him, this was not an act of violence, but a ritual, an art form. When the drifter's body was finally still, Mr. Kemper stepped back and removed his gloves, tossing them into a nearby bin. He examined his handiwork with a critical eye, nodding in satisfaction. Then he turned his attention to a large industrial grinder in the corner of the room. He activated the machine, its deafening roar filling the chamber, and began disposing of the evidence. Upstairs, the storm raged on, masking the sounds of the slaughterhouse's dark secret. But outside, in the shadows of the parking lot, a figure stood watching. It was Emma, one of the cleaning crew, who had returned to retrieve her forgotten jacket. She had seen Mr. Kemper descend the staircase and had followed out of curiosity. What she had witnessed through the cracked door now froze her to the core. Emma's breath came in shallow gasps as she backed away from the building, her mind racing. She had to tell someone, had to warn the others. But as she turned to run, she collided with something solid. Looking up, she found herself staring into Mr. Kemper's cold, lifeless eyes. "You shouldn't have seen that," he said, his voice devoid of emotion. Emma's scream was cut short as his hands closed around her throat, dragging her back into the slaughterhouse. The door slammed shut behind them, leaving the storm to howl its futile protest outside. The next morning, the workers arrived to find the slaughterhouse operating as usual. The night crew was missing, but no one thought much of it. People came and went in this town. No one asked questions. And as the machinery of death churned on, Mr. Kemper oversaw it all with his unchanging, unreadable expression. The whispers in town grew louder in the days that followed, but they remained just that, whispers. After all, who would dare confront the man who ruled the slaughterhouse? Who would dare disturb the sanctuary of Mr. Kemper? The quiet man with blood on his hands and secrets buried deep beneath the concrete floors.